How's it going? Jean here with Luma University, and today I want to talk to you about flash photography and really just give you a basic understanding of how it works and why you might consider flash over continuous light. So this video is for if you're brand new. I'm going to show you with my camera and my strobe exactly how it functions and how you can use it for your photography to see if it's what you need. So today I'll be shooting on my Sony a7 III. You can use pretty much any camera. There are compatible strobes for every camera brand and hot shoe, but we're going to talk about the elements you need. So of course, first, you need a camera. Second, you're going to need a strobe. Now, I use Westcott strobes. This is the Westcott FJ400 II. They make the 250, they make the 800. The power is really dependent on how much output you need, and we'll talk about that in a bit, but the 400 II is a really great all-arounder. It's really bright, and it should get most of the work done for you. And then finally, you're going to need some kind of trigger. This is the T1, FJ-T1 trigger by Westcott, and it's compatible with my Sony camera. This is the S version. They also have the multi version, which is compatible with every other camera brand out there. It works on any other cold shoe. Sony's just a little bit different, so you do have to get their specific trigger. So if you have your camera, a strobe, and your compatible trigger, you're ready to go. So let's go ahead and see how they work. So the major difference between a strobe and a continuous light is that it puts out a ton of light power very quickly, and that's why it flashes. And there's some benefits to that. And the main benefit is that you can overpower the light around you. So you're able to work in a well-lit studio, and your camera can be exposed low enough that you can't see the studio. And I'm going to show you some real examples here. And then this light is so bright and it's powerful enough to light the studio exactly how you want it while keeping everything else dark. So it's pretty cool in that regard. You can also use them outdoors in a lot more of a compact format than you could with an equivalently bright continuous light. Something that would make this much brightness on a continuous light would be insanely expensive and extremely hot and heavy and huge. So this is where the strobe comes in. They're a lot more compact for the amount of power that you get, of course not at a continuous output. So my studio is pretty dark, so I've got to expose this quite high. So I'm at f1.4 at 1/100th of a second shutter speed, and my ISO is all the way up at 6400. So I'm putting quite a bit more light and sensitivity into this to get this exposed, but let me take a photo so that you can see what it looks like. And there you go, you can see how my room is exposed. So I don't want this ambient light. Say I want to control that, get it out of the way. Well, what I can do is adjust my camera settings to make the studio black without the strobe on. Then we'll turn the strobe on, and then we can light as if we were in a pitch black room because these are so bright compared to the ambient. So I'm going to take my shutter speed up to 1/250th of a second, which on my camera is the fastest sync speed. Your camera may vary, so just check with your manufacturer of what your maximum flash sync speed is. So I've got my shutter 1/250th of a second. I'm gonna bring my ISO down, way down. I'm gonna drop it to 100. And then I'm going to stop down my aperture to f2.8. And I'm gonna take a picture now. And you can see that my studio exposure is completely black, which is actually what I want because I want to be able to control everything that I'm seeing with my light. So now I'm gonna go ahead and turn on my strobe. With this Westcott, you just press the power button and then tap on the power button on the screen, it'll turn on. And I'm just gonna hand hold this thing. Then if I go ahead and take a picture, you'll notice nothing is going to happen. And that's because I don't have my trigger on. Now, a trigger, they come in all different shapes and sizes. Westcott has a couple of different versions. This is their newest touchscreen OLED one, which is really light and compact. And so to use this, literally all I have to do is put it onto my camera, into the hot shoe mount, make sure it's seated in there correctly, and most of them have a locking mechanism, and then it's locked in. And then all I have to do is turn it on. So same way as the strobe, I'm gonna press and hold the power button, and then press the power button up here on top. Hopefully you can see that. And you'll see it's gonna power on. Now, the main thing with strobe triggers is that they have channels, and you can set your channels in groups to your strobes so that you can control multiple strobes with different powers and do all sorts of fun things like that. So this strobe is on channel 20 and it's on group A, as you can see by the big indicator there. So that means on my trigger, I can control its power by making sure my trigger is on channel 20 and group A. So if I had multiple strobes around, I could put them all on channel 20, and then I could put them on different groups so I can control the power differently from strobe to strobe. So I could have my foreground strobe, my background strobe, my edge light, by key light, like whatever you need, you can group them all, or you can have multiple strobes in one group so they all kind of function together. It really depends on what you need, but that's typically how I work. So this is group A. So I'm going to change group A on my trigger here. And currently it's set to power 5.4. Now, another learning curve with strobe versus continuous lights is that the power is a little bit different, or the controls, I should say, are a little bit different. So on a strobe, you'll either see decimals or you will see fractions. Now, the decimal system allows you to change the power from your lowest power, which each strobe is a little different. In this case, it's power 1, and your highest power. So in this case, the strobe goes all the way up to power 9. So 9 means I'm using all 400 watts of this strobe. So the power is full blast. In fraction terms, this would be 1/1. But we'll talk about fractions in just a second. For now, I want to stick with decimals. So with the decimal system, 9 is full power. If I go down to 8, that gives me a one-stop drop from power 9 to 8. So it's actually half of the power. So 8 is half the power, but I can also go by tenths. So I could do half a stop down. So power 9 is full power, power 8 is half power, power 7 is quarter, 8th, 16th, 32nd, 64th, 128th, and 256th power. So that gives me 8 stops of dynamic range. So I can actually switch this if I wanted to fractions. So now I can go from 1/250th, which is lowest power, to 1/128th, 1/64th, 1/32nd, 16th, 8th, 4th, half, and full power. So that is how the fractions work, and they're equivalent to their decimal counterparts. Now, I personally like to work with decimals because the decimal system allows me to think more creatively in stops rather than in powers of my light. So I can just think relatively. If I'm looking at my picture and I'm like, okay, I want this to be about half a stop darker here, I can just move it down 5/10 and I'm good to go. That's just how I work, and it's really up to you what works best for your brain. So I'm gonna go ahead and take this picture now, and all I'm going to do is hold this strobe up. It's at power 9, and I'm not sure how this is gonna light my studio, but I'm gonna go ahead and try to take a similar photo here, and here we go. Same settings as before where the studio is blacked out. Here we go. Boom. That's a big old flash. And you can see now my studio is completely blown out in this example photo. So that was way too much power for this particular light, but it was enough to completely wash out my scene, which means this is a ton of power. And so I'm just gonna expose this down. Let's go down one stop to power 8 and do the same thing here. I've got to kind of finagle this since I don't have a actual stand here. And we can still see it's very bright. So I'm gonna go ahead and drop it to power 7 and do the same thing. So each time we're halving the power of light, or one stop. There we go. That's starting to look kind of normally exposed. It's still got some hot spots, so I might drop it down one more stop. Just for the example, I'll take one more. Boom, and there we go. So if I turn this strobe off once again, just to prove to you, not change anything on my camera, leave the trigger on and everything, and take a picture, the image is still completely blacked out. So that's what I mean about being able to black out the studio space and have full control while working in a fully lit environment, which is very cool. So in a nutshell, a strobe is a really affordable way to get extremely powerful light in your scene without having to completely black out your studio to get full control of each individual light. Now, there are a few different types of strobes I just want to touch on very quickly. The first is going to be what you see here. This is a studio monoblock strobe, which means it comes with a battery pack and you can also plug it into power. So the Westcott one's really cool because you can use it on mains power and run it all day long, or you can unplug it and you get like 400 full power flashes with this particular battery, which is fantastic. But this is what you'll see most photographers using. They're very versatile. You would call this typically an off-camera flash. So it's a bigger unit, but it is battery powered and it's all fully contained within itself. Now there are also speed lights or on-camera flash, and those are the ones that usually mount directly onto your hot shoe. You can also sync them as well, but they're a lot smaller and usually less powerful. Westcott makes the FJ80 and 82, which are fantastic on-camera strobes that you can use all sorts of modifiers with as well. Now finally, there are strobe pack systems that work really only exclusively in studio or where you have mains power, and you can get more output from them. Some packs are up to 6,400 watts, which is really, really, really bright. And they're really only reserved for rentals and commercial jobs and things like that. But you can find them out there. I just find for 99% of photographers out there, you don't need them, but they do exist if you're curious. But I think that just about does it. Hopefully that practical demonstration helps you understand how a strobe works. If you have any questions at all, please drop them down below. And if you want to learn more about mixing continuous lights and strobes together to create beautiful effects like this, you can come to my class at the Wyoming Professional Photographers Association on March 23rd. It's going to be that entire weekend. We have our conference, which goes from Friday through Monday. My class is on Monday morning, and I'm going to be doing some really cool mixed lighting. We're going to bring in a dancer, a beautiful model, and create some lovely art together. And of course, as always, drop a comment below if you have any questions. Leave a like if you learned something on this video, and be sure to subscribe for more videos like this coming very soon. Have a great day. Thank you so much for watching.